I must become a better person. And my hope is that becoming a better person, I put myself in a position to someday be forgiven.
San Diego Mayor Bob Filner says he's going into a therapy program after a week of stunning announcements by women accusing him of making unwanted sexual advances. His announcement right now on KPBS Evening Edition. Good evening. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. San Diego Mayor Bob Filner says he's going into therapy to get help for behavior that prompted 7 local women to accuse him of unwanted sexual advances this week. We begin with the mayor's statement.
Let me be absolutely clear. The behavior I have engaged in over many years is wrong. My failure to respect women and the intimidating contact I engage in at times is inexcusable. It has undermined what I have spent my whole professional life working on, fighting for equality and justice for all people. And it is simply not acceptable for me to try to explain away my conduct as the product of the standards of a different generation. I apologize to my staff. I apologize to the citizens and staff members who have supported me over many years. I apologize to the people of San Diego. And most of all, I apologize to the women that I have offended. Over the last week or so, I have reached out to the men and women who have served on my staff and others who I have worked with over the years and apologize for my behavior. In addition, we have instituted changes in how the mayor's office is run. However, words alone are not enough. I am responsible for my conduct, and I must take responsibility for my conduct by taking action so that such conduct does not ever happen again. So beginning on August 5th, I will be entering a behavior counseling clinic to undergo 2 weeks of intensive therapy to begin the process of addressing my behavior. During this time period, I will be at the clinic full-time, though every morning and evening I will be briefed on city activities. This intensive counseling will just be the first step in what will be a continuing program that will involve ongoing regular counseling. I must become a better person. And my hope is that becoming a better person, I put myself in a position to someday be forgiven. However, before I even think of asking for forgiveness, I need to demonstrate that my behavior has changed. And that will only happen over time, and only if such incidents never, ever happen again. So when I return on August 19th, my focus will be on making sure that I am doing right by this city in terms of being the best mayor I can be and the best person I must be. Thank you.
San Diego Mayor Bob Filner announcing his plans to seek therapy for what he describes as a failure to respect women and intimidating behavior. KPBS Metro reporter Sandhya Dirks has been following this story since we first broke it just a couple of weeks ago. Mayor Filner's speech is notable as much for what he said as for what he didn't say. What was missing in there, Sandhya?
Well, we don't know who will be running the city while the mayor is in rehab. He says he's going to be briefed mornings and nights while he's in all-day intensive therapy. But what about during the day? Surely some decisions can't be put on hold. Can that even work? We don't know. We also don't know who will be debriefing him or who will be in charge. We know some of the mayor's responsibilities, including the signing of contracts, have been turned over to Walt Eckerd. Eckerd wasn't by the mayor's side at the press conference, but Lee Burdick, his new, very new, chief of staff, was there.
Now, did the mayor address the chorus of women who came out this week with specific, detailed accusations?
Well, no. I mean, once again, he said, I've done something wrong. I need help. But he didn't address just what he did. It makes sense for legal reasons. This is a very carefully crafted statement, but it's part of this dance that the mayor has been doing, these confessional apologies that also seem to skirt taking responsibility for owning his actions, for actually telling us what he did. So are the women right? I mean, he hasn't said that they're wrong, but he hasn't confirmed their accusations. He apologized for offending women, but his accusers aren't saying they were offended. They are saying they were sexually harassed.
And I hear that we have some more information to report. Another witness has released a statement.
Yes, we've got the declaration of 23-year-old intern Christopher J. Baker. A declaration is a legal document. It's not part of a case. It's just kind of ascertaining that this is what he saw. In it, he alleges that the mayor's behavior with women made him very uncomfortable. He says he saw a couple of incidents where the mayor acted incredibly inappropriately, in his opinion. He says the members of the mayor's team were aware of this behavior. He describes incidents of the mayor taking women into dark sort of hallways and, people being concerned about the mayor being alone with women. And he says Filner's actions made him so uncomfortable, he was an intern in the mayor's office, that he left his internship early.
Lots of questions still to be answered. KPBS Metro reporter Sandhya Dirk. Sandhya, thanks. Today's statement is not sitting well with council members who've already called for Filner's resignation. Today, they were joined by 1st District Councilwoman Sherry Leitner. It is the first time that she has called on him to step down. Council President Todd Gloria says Filner's announcement prolongs the pain he's inflicting on our city at a time when San Diegans are calling for an end to the civic nightmare. Councilwoman Lori Zaff says Filner's refusal to step down is an insult to the victims and an insult to women everywhere. From 7th District Councilman Scott Sherman, San Diegans should accept nothing less than Bob Filner's resignation and or arrest. And 2nd District Councilman Kevin Faulkner says 2 weeks of therapy will not end decades of bad behavior. At this point, Myrtle Cole and Marty Emerald are the only council members who've not called on Filner to resign. So is 2 weeks of rehab going to be enough to change the mayor's behavior? Earlier today, I spoke with David Peters. He's a psychotherapist with an office in Mission Valley. Now, Bob Filner is 70 years old. He says his behavior is wrong, but is that something that he can change in 2 weeks?
Well, it all depends on the diagnosis. And from what it's looking like, if the allegations are true, it looks like some form of sexual compulsive disorder. And these sort of disorders take a lot of work. Some people stay in treatment for this for years.
Now, we talk a little bit about what his problem is. We don't quite know what it is. He hasn't really come out and said exactly what's going on. From what you've seen, what do you suspect?
Well, there's a lot of options, and what we don't know is greater than what we do know right now. And I've never met the man, so we can only go by the allegations and what he has said. But, you have the possibility of a sociopathic personality who's enjoying this, and given his record of service over the many years, that doesn't sound likely. Possibility of a bipolar disorder in a manic phase, except that would show lots of problematic behavior in a number of arenas. So that doesn't fit so well. This is a problem that seems to manifest in close relationships. It's always of a sexual nature, and he seems to have some sense of it because he pulls people aside, and a lot of it's done in private. So this is similar to compulsive behavior. And this answers why someone who is so good and who has good character and good intentions can do things so wrongly.
Now, he gets into that therapeutic environment. He gets in to a room with counselors, presumably. What can they do? What can be done in that intensive period?
Well, usually in the first month, they just work on the level of denial, which is getting a client used to the fact of the real reality of what they've been doing and the impact on other people. To some degree, he knows there's a problem. He's made reference to it. To another degree, he's been minimizing it, compartmentalizing it. And when we compartmentalize, we separate our knowledge of one thing into one part of the brain, and we attend to ourselves in another way in another part of the brain. And all this has to be addressed through a lot of confrontation.
You said in a month. They go through that in a month. He's doing this intensively for 2 weeks. He says there will be continuing counseling after he gets done with this intensive session. But I'm curious, is it going to be leave him enough time to do the governing of the city, or is the kind of therapy that he's going to be going into really going to suck up his time and energy.
Well, from the sound of it, it seemed to be implied that this is 2 weeks inpatient, meaning they spend the night. It could be what they call intensive outpatient, where he goes home every night. But in 2 weeks' time, you can accomplish very little. You can get a good assessment, you can work on levels of denial and a plan for a treatment, and that's about all. This sort of thing is treated over years of time. For clients that I work with who have compulsive behaviors, frequently there are 12-step groups that they enroll in and go to twice a week for years of time, plus individual therapy, plus maybe group therapy, a lot of book reading, a lot of writing to process what's happened and to try and learn about oneself and learn how to develop a level of self-control and self-monitoring that's required for work.
Should we be looking at this announcement today and his plan of action in a positive light, or do you still have a lot of questions about what exactly is going to be going on?
Well, I've seen clients who state, okay, I'm going to get help, I'll cooperate, let's work on it, and it's 2 months later and we find there's no intention of making any real change. That in denial, someone can believe, oh, we'll just go through a few weeks of trouble and difficulty, we'll talk about it, and then we'll get out of there again. Okay. So it's going to take some time.
Thank you very much, David Peters, psychoanalyst.
Good to be with you.
Shortly before his announcement, Filner was served with a subpoena from attorney Gloria Allred. Now, she's representing Irene McCormick Jackson, Filner's former communications director. Jackson is suing him and the city, claiming sexual harassment. The subpoena calls on Filner to be deposed on August 9th, but as you heard in his statement today, he plans to be in a therapy center at that time. This afternoon, Allred released a statement of her own saying that she believes his decision to seek therapy is a ploy to stay in power and to try to gain sympathy. Leaders of a recall movement also made a delivery to the mayor's office today. Michael Palmieri and Elisa Brent hand-delivered a request for Filner's resignation. In a room filled with reporters waiting for Bob Filner's public statement, Palmieri said the mayor can no longer effectively do his job.
Every day he's in office, I believe, regardless whether under a leave of absence, this city is under incredible liability and exposure. And I predict more women are coming forward. And every day that this goes on, we're going to see more liability. It's horrendous. It's atrocious. Nothing's getting done here. Nothing is getting done.
Palmieri says if Filner is still in office on Monday at 5 p.m., he will initiate a formal recall process. Another recall drive is underway. This morning, the founder of the San Diego LGBT Weekly posted an announcement in the UT San Diego citing his intention to circulate a petition to recall the mayor. Stamp Corbin says he neither supports nor opposes Filner, but he wants to bring a resolution to the current scandal surrounding the mayor's office.
The reason I did it is because San Diegans all across the county and throughout the city are being dragged through this situation, and if the voters are ready to recall the mayor, then we should get the process done.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. I watch you guys.
Corbin said he hasn't decided whether or not he'll even sign the petition. He says it will give San Diegans a chance to speak, however. San Diego's Democratic Party has officially called on Filner to resign. Last night they voted 34-6 to ask him to step down and get help. The meeting was attended by one of Filner's accusers, political consultant Laura Fink. The National Democratic Party did release a statement today as well before Filner's news conference. Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz calling Filner's behavior reprehensible and indefensible and calling on him to resign for the good of the city. Another member of the Filner administration has resigned just a month after starting as executive director of the City of San Diego's Commission for Arts and Culture. In an email, Denise Montgomery says, "I wrestled with this decision out of commitment to the arts and culture community. However, I cannot in good conscience remain part of the Filner administration." The Arts Commission works with the mayor and city council to manage the city's arts and culture program, which supports more than 100 San Diego nonprofit organizations through the transient occupancy tax. Now, the commission also manages the city's public art collection. We have posted all of our coverage of the Filner controversy online, including our exclusive interviews with 6 women accusing him of unwanted sexual advances. It's all at kpbs.org/news/Filner.